So let's get into it. I want to talk about having a good job really truly changed the quality of my life. Wow. And I just remembered something that I shared on Instagram earlier this week. Okay. So earlier this week, I actually shared what I call one of my testimonies, one of many that I have. I have many that are career related and not, of how having a good paying job truly has changed my life. And I was reflecting on how far I have come. And so what sparked that whole story show, like sharing, and then I made it eventually into a reel because people were resonating with it so much in my stories, is because I had went to fill up my car this week to get gas. And I fill up every couple of weeks, right? Because I work from home. I use the most gas that I use is going back and forth to work out with my trainer. And so it was time for me to fill up. And so I went to fill up. I got my receipt, all of the things. And it wasn't, and I do this occasionally, right? This isn't the first time. I reflect a lot. And I'll talk about another reflection that I have every time I get in and out of my car. But I was coming back home and I was thinking about, wow, I really was able to just go and pump my gas and not think about like moving money around or taking away from bill money to like pay my utility bills or to pay my rent or things like that, because that's what I used to have to do in my case management days. In my case management days, I'm very transparent about the fact that I was earning $37,100 as a case manager. And I'm also very transparent about the fact that the city I live in does not pay you anything, right? There's a huge economic divide in the city where I live. Like I talk about that a lot. And so when I got back home and I was thinking about the fact, like, wow, I just went and filled up my car and I spent XYZ dollars to do that. And I do that every few weeks without even thinking about it. And I was like, I remember a time where doing that, like, the whole ride to the gas station would have been me worrying and thinking about, like, where can I move money from to put gas in my car? It then would have entailed me being at the pump thinking about, oh my goodness, how much is it going to take? Right? Like now I pump gas mindlessly. I don't think about where the number will end because I know that I have it to cover it. And so when I got back home, I was just reflecting on that. Like I don't have to do, I call that moving and grooving. Like I don't have to do all that moving and grooving and moving money from one account to another account, taking money from here, worrying about an overdraft, because also I'm very transparent about in my case management days, always going into overdraft because there was never enough money to do anything with. And so I shared that reflection on in my stories about, I know that the quality of my job, right, which is also afforded to me by the fact that I am a believer and I have lots of faith. And also with my faith, I also do my work, right? And when I say I do my work, that means that I really put time into my career development, and everything that I do is a part of a larger plan that I've created for myself. And so I was just reflecting on like how my life has really changed over the years, because of the quality of jobs that I started to get. I've also shared on my Instagram page, it's probably been a few years at this point since I shared this reflection of how when I was working my last macro job, when I made the realization like, wow, I could pay all of my monthly bills out of one biweekly paycheck. I remember there was a time where I would literally have to split up, like I would have to pull money from both paychecks, if not all of the paychecks, to pay my rent. And then I had in my last macro job, I was able to pay all of my monthly bills out of one paycheck and still have money for saving and entertainment and all of the things, right? And so I just wanted to share that as a testament of how a good paying, good quality job, right? When I say good quality, a job that really has comprehensive benefits, a job where you are able to go and do your job and do it safely, and you have some level of job security, right? Every state is different based on the at-will laws that govern your state, but some level of security, also some level of like advancement for growth. And what I mean by growth is you are not going to always want to stay in an entry-level job. At some point in time, if you are a person who with the growth mindset, at some point in time, you wanted to advance, you want to make more money, you want to be challenged, you want to take on more responsibility. So also a good job is a job that has upward mobility opportunities. Because coming from case management, coming from a call center background, being a non-traditional student, I have worked in jobs where there was no chance of you going anywhere. You come in this position, you're going to be here to retirement. And so I really wanted to share that reflection of how having a good quality, good paying job has changed my life over the years, right? And that's just one way. But also how it has really truly put me in a place of alignment, right? So I always talk about alignment, and I realize like the more I talk about it, the more conversations I see centering around it, which is great. I want to spark these conversations. When I talk about alignment, I mean that you are not working jobs that you despise, that you can't stand behind, as far as like the objective, the mission, and the vision, how organizations are running their business. Now, are there any perfect jobs out there? No. We don't live in a fairy tale world. There are no perfect jobs. I don't care what you see, what you hear, there are no perfect jobs. I always say there is one person that makes a job just not good, right? And it's usually always someone internally. But as you begin to mature in your professional, like how you show up, your professional persona, you learn how to navigate those situations. You learn how to deal with those personalities. But you have to like go into every job understanding that there's no perfect job. But there are ways that you can minimize, right? Minimize a lot of the nonsense that you encounter on some jobs. So I really truly am in a place where I am in alignment, where I am aligning myself with organizations. Now I'm full-time in my business. So I'm aligning myself with clients, micro to macro participants who truly understand the mission and vision of my business. And this is even in the organizations in the past. I was truly aligning myself with organizations that were doing what they said they were going to do, right? If they said they were working on creating equitable career pathway opportunities for historically under-resourced populations and communities, they were doing that. They had the receipts to prove it, right? Because how many times have you all taken a job with a case management organization where they say, oh, we do A, B, C, and D. And then you get in there and it's like, you do none of this, right? And so truly having a good job for me over the last 5 years has meant me increasing my earnings, one, and also like really tapping into my passion, which is my passion is educating others. That's what I'm good at. That's what I do. And my purpose is to help create equitable career opportunities for under-resourced youth and young adults in an attempt to help them achieve lifelong self-sufficiency. That is my purpose. When I say purpose, I'm not talking about like my purpose on this planet. I'm talking about my purpose in my career life. What is my goal? That is my goal, right? And I'm an advocate for my population everywhere that I go. So for me, a good job has really taken me from just feeling like I just have to take whatever job is available, right? Because I've done that in my call center jobs. Whatever job is paying me the most, whatever job I can get, I'm going to work. I have shifted from that for years now to really working with organizations that align with what I'm on. Because I can't stand behind the vision if I don't agree with what y'all doing. And then also the monetary piece has changed my life. And I share all that to say, like, it is my hopes for people who come inside of my program to truly move into alignment in that same way, right? Because what I see day in and day out is social workers really truly hate working jobs that they don't like. I try not to use the H word, but they strongly don't like them. And a lot of them are working them as a means to an end. A lot of them are working them because they feel as though they have no other options. But what I always say is, if you do that when you don't have the requisite career information you need to make better, well-informed decisions, as well as when you don't have proven strategies and techniques to get better jobs, to get good paying, good quality jobs, right? You will feel stuck, like there are no other options, but you always have an option. You always have an option, right? It's just that you have to arm yourself with the information you need to be able to use the tools and resources readily available to you to tap into those options, to take, what I always say, take charge of your career. So I wanted to share that because that's just some of the ways that having a good job determines the quality of your life, right? So I talked about the financial piece, but also it's that like emotional piece. It's the innate desires, right? Because many of you feel called to do more. Like you try to rest and just be comfortable in your case management job. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go. It's a good city job. I'm just gonna go every day, but you feel like you need to be doing more, right? So having a good job also like brings forth the needs that you feel internally to do more. And so a good quality job really can change the quality of your life, intrinsically and extrinsically. And so I want that for everyone. I want people to move from like, I just got to take this job to pay my bills. I don't have another choice. I want people to move from crying when they get up in the morning and driving to work to a job that they hate, right? I've been there, done that. I want people to, I'm not saying you're going to jump up in the morning jumping for joy because you're going to work, but when you are in true alignment, on some level you do. Like on some level, you're excited because you don't have to go to that job that you didn't like. You're excited because you are well compensated for your knowledge, your expertise, and your contributions. You're excited because you're also changing the world in the way that's best for you, right? To really move the needle closer to progress for the populations and issues that you love. You're excited because you're doing work that you actually like. Right. That's one of the things I teach my career coaching clients is like really get clarity, or help them do is get clarity around like what aspect of work do you like to do? And let's tap into that and find jobs that support that. And when my participants start finding macro jobs doing what they actually like to do, like they light up from the inside out. And I love when that paradigm shift happens. I love to witness that, right? Because the like limitations that was placed on them before have really been lifted. And I'm gonna trail off for a moment because you all know I love a story time. I was watching YouTube last night, and I'm very honest about the fact YouTube is not, it's just not what it used to be back in 2012. But I have my whole thoughts and ideas around why. But I was watching on YouTube this YouTuber who I started watching her when she first got onto YouTube last year. And then I stopped watching her, right? She's a part of the van life community. If you don't know, there's like a movement around, it was heavy last year. I'm sure it still is because her channel is super popular now, where many Americans are like selling their homes, abandoning like the idea of home ownership to purchase a van, where they are cutting their living expenses drastically and traveling the country because they're able to work remote, work online, whatever, right? So it's a huge movement. It really, I want to say it was birthed in the pandemic, but I think it was birthed before then, and it's largely attributed to the high housing costs, right? Rent is sky high, mortgages are sky high, like homes are sky high. And so people are abandoning the traditional ideas of home ownership and paying for all of the things, homeowner insurance, utility bills, all of the things, to buy vans and do stealth living on Walmart parking lot. So anyway, I'm getting into the thing. So I also watch videos in the van life community, and it's this one person. She worked for the federal government. She sold her home last year. She had a plan. Like when I watch people, I'm watching their career. I'm watching it from a career angle, right? Because I remember it had to be like her first and second episode last year. She was talking about her whole plan. I was like, oh, that's her career plan. Like she had a whole plan. She was selling her home. She bought the van. She was going to retire. She was going to do the YouTube videos and like double time on shifts at her job to save money because she wanted to retire from the job in like 2 to 5 years or something like that, right? So I stopped watching her for a little bit because I kind of moved away from the van life community to the cruising community. But I stumbled across one of her videos last night, and she was basically like providing an update about where she is in life. And and so I still not clear because I didn't catch up on all the episodes, but I think she's like, because her channel has blown up so much, like she gets hundreds of thousands of views on one video, and she does videos, I think, every day. I was like, I think she's no longer working based off the fact that she was traveling, and she said she's going to be traveling for a whole nother month or something else. I was like, oh, she must have sped up the retirement date, which is great. Like that's one thing checked off of her career plan amongst other minis that she's had. And she was talking about how she's getting ready to take voice acting lessons. And she was saying how she had went viral on TikTok before coming on YouTube because people were telling her how soothing her voice is and that she could be a Disney character, Disney princess character, because she just has that voice. And she was saying how she always wanted to do that once people started telling her about her voice, but she never had the opportunity because she was working her federal job. So fast forward in this episode, she had actually found a voice acting coach. She was going to her first voice acting class, and she was going to be doing it for a month or so while she was visiting in this other state. And I remember when she was sharing it, like you could see the visible like difference in her energy talking about the voice acting compared to when I've seen her talk about like her federal job. She never went into detail about what she did in her federal job, but she talked about her job. It was just the difference. And I was like, she's tapped into her purpose, right? She was talking about her excitement about going to the class and how it feels like she's back in school, and how she didn't do that well in the first class, but she's looking forward to the next one. I was like, she's tapped into her purpose. And I remember smiling last night while I was sitting on my edge of my bed watching it. And I was just like, that is what I want everyone to experience. I want you all to be tapped into what it is that you truly want to do. Because many of us are in jobs where we are there just because we need a means to the end, right? But when you truly tap into what you've been called to do, like what you like to do, what you love to do, there is a different, like, I want to use the word fire that is birthed and breathed into you, like blown into you. And I'm also reflecting at the same time on one of my current career coaching participants inside of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator. We just got off our weekly Q&A call. And we start the Q&A calls the same way every week, where I ask everyone to share one win, personal or professional, for the week. And one of my participants shared that I'm not going to go into details, but she has something major on the horizon. And she began to talk about like her excitement about this thing that's coming up, and the way she lit up talking about it, because I know, and she knows, right? That her area macro, like her focus area under the macro umbrella, she really loves doing it. She loves doing it. She's been trying to pursue opportunities to do it. and was never successful before coming inside of the accelerator. And now that the opportunities are presenting themselves, she's excited. And I'm excited for her, because truly, that's why I have so much. I hate when I hear people say, oh, you shouldn't have a dream job. I always say people with certain privileges say that. I'm gonna just say what I always think. People with certain privileges say that. When you are a person who has had to work jobs because you didn't have any other option, you better dream of better. You better hope that there's something out there one day. If you're gonna have to work, you better hope there's something out there that you could work and at least tolerate, and not be physically and mentally ill thinking about going to work and doing a job. You better dream of better. That's what used to keep me going in those case management jobs. I knew it had to be more for me out there. I was like, this can't be my end of the day. I'm crying, going to work, coming from work. It gotta be better. You better dream of more. So when we say a dream job, we're not dreaming of work, we're dreaming of better, because we have to work to live. That's the truth of it, right? That's why I always say people who with certain privileges, they are the one that shout that. You better dream that there's a better, good quality job out there with your name on it that you can stand behind. I'm an end there. I'm an end because I'm getting warmed up on a whole nother thing. But I just want that for all of y'all. I really do. And so to see the person on the YouTube video last night talking about voice acting, I love that. I love when people are really tapped into what they're supposed to be doing, what they want to do, as far as like their passion. That's why I teach people how to blend your passions in your work. Because if you're going to have to do it, you might as well do it and enjoy it on some level, right? Instead of doing something that you don't want to do. That's the worst job ever. So I'm going to end it there. This probably is way longer than what I planned. But I really, truly wanted to reflect on, like, having a good job determines your quality of life. It really, truly does, in every aspect of the way. Also, I'm going to say this really quickly. Like, having a good quality job really, truly helps me start prioritizing myself holistically, right? I've taught about that in the past too. Like being able to actually go to doctor's appointments because my health insurance was comprehensive enough to cover it. So when I worked in nonprofit world for that year, so that health insurance didn't cover anything. I couldn't even go to the doctor. Having a better job allowed me to be able to pay for my copays. Go get whatever check, whatever annual test they want me to have done. You want me to go pay that? I gotta pay $200 out of pocket. Okay, where I go? When it's put me on the calendar, not like, oh well, let me call you back. I'm gonna have to figure out when I could do it and then never do the thing. It allowed me to start prioritizing myself with preventative care. It allowed me to start going to see a therapist. It started allowing me to, like, I love fresh pressed juices. I'm able to buy fresh pressed juices, right? A good job really does change your quality of life. And I just want to say that you ain't got to live the way you living now. There are jobs out there that will pay you more. There are jobs out there that will like give you the thing that you were missing passion-wise in your career. That's another thing. People always like, oh, you should never blend your passions with your work. Have you ever worked a job you hated? You better have something in that job that you like, some aspects. I'm gonna end it there, but I want to see y'all at the workshop. We are less